Okay, this video is for you if you identify with being highly sensitive or people-pleasing at all. How many of you can identify with the fear of getting in trouble? Seriously. If this resonates with you, I do not care how old you are. You could be 20 or 30 or 68. And you can recognize that there is this internal fear of getting in trouble. Not unlike the fear maybe a small child would have who didn't want to get punished or caught. You know, your intellectual mind is probably going to know full well that you're an adult and maybe even knows that like you can't get in trouble, but that fear is still there. It's still present. And try as you might, that instinct inside of you fears getting in trouble on a deep core level. So what do you do with that? You learn to people please. You avoid upsetting people. Maybe you fawn, which is a trauma response that causes you to please or try to merge with others so as to avoid making them angry. Maybe you do as little as possible to get noticed, preferring the anonymity of being invisible because no one's going to scold or point the finger at someone who they can't see. I believe this is a core wound for many of us. And I think it is more than the fear of being in trouble. I think that this is the fear of persecution. I invite you to take a look at this because I think this is a really deep topic. I want you to open your mind up to the possibility that this goes way beyond childhood into generational trauma or ancestral trauma. In our dominant culture, our patriarchal model of society, the domination of others has been used as a way of creating hierarchies of power over. So, and power over just doesn't happen. We need to only look back at history to see that this culture is created. It's created through domination. It's created through violence. Okay? Domination that occurred through the means of violence and accusation of right and wrong. We are right, you are wrong, and it's within our authority to dominate you, to dominate your body, to dominate your freedom. This was the belief system that justified one nation conquering another and justified invading. It justified genocide. It justified imperialism, colonialism, oppression, slavery, the witch hunts, to name only a few of the historical truths that our ancestors, our generations have had to deal with. This system is still present today. It's still dominant. It's not a thing of the past. So before you look at your instinct to avoid being in trouble as something pathological for you to rise up and fix, I invite you to sit with the compassion of how it might make sense that you might want to avoid this. Was this something that could have been passed down and taught from your great-grandparents to your grandparents to your parents to you? I believe it's likely that these fears are encoded in our DNA, and science is able to support that claim as we learn more about epigenetics and how trauma is passed down physically through our genetic coding. Before you're able to resource yourself in this present moment, in this lifetime, in this body, to realize that it might actually be safe for you to make waves or sit with conflict, we need to feel safe with ourselves. And until we can be compassionate about those fears that we hold, it's really hard to do that. Because see, if we're judging ourselves for being scared or thinking that there's something wrong with us, then we're just mirroring that wound from the culture. Being part of the system that used to basically use lies about our worth in order to demean us, in order to dominate us in the first place. So you can't dominate yourself into healing, right? You can't use domination to heal a wound that came from domination in the first place. We need to start with compassion. So I hope this video helps you to become curious about where this fear of getting in trouble might truly come from. Nothing's wrong with you. You're having a normal reaction to a very abnormal condition, which is our culture, which is the dominant culture. Start there and see what happens when you see yourself with compassion first.